What's going on, family? It's your girl Guruji Chastity, and today we are back with another Fresh Thought Friday video, and that's where I break down an ideogram, and we on the whiteboard. As you know, a ideogram is a picture, right, that normally encompasses an entire teaching. This may be familiar to you as a hieroglyphic. All right, so today we are talking about how to regulate your emotions. I feel like this one hot because what I did was merge an original concept I created, which was the 3 elements of creation, and put it with this new idea, okay? Because the reason why we have emotions, because they are a gift, right? So that we can experience more deeply, right? We experience emotions so they move us to create things. They move us down a path. They're used as energy to move us along, right? Because we are inherently energy. And so God has to communicate with us in ways that is core to us. We be believing that our external reality, our 5 senses, is our core being, but that's not true. It's everything that's underneath our core senses, which is truly who we are, because we are spirits having a human experience, right? And so I got my notes right here in the book, so I am going to be reading from them because I feel like this one real juicy, okay? So on all the videos, this ain't just, couple videos here and there. I like to have a why. I like to have a rhyme and reason as to why I'm doing what I'm doing. So boom, let's talk about it. The first reason that I've created this video is because I really struggled with this in my 20s, regulating my emotions, because I really didn't know what the hell was going on. Because as a kid, I wasn't really able to go through that process to feel like what it had felt like to process my emotions as a kid growing up. Anytime I felt something, it was big. It was real big, and it could be something slight, and there was movement that impacted not only me but everybody else around me. And because my emotions were so big and I didn't really have the space to express my discontent or my discomfort, I just got labeled as having a bad attitude, because what I would do is go inward. I would shut down so I could figure out what was going on, and I was just overthinking and in a loop in my head trying to figure out, what did I do, how did it make me feel, how did it impact the other person. But in my family, it just kind of looked like you being rude, like can't nobody talk to you, can't nobody do something to you. And it's like, well, if I really said how I really felt, y'all would probably call me an asshole, but I don't mean it rude, I'm just being honest, right? And so that was part of learning how to reparent myself, which is being just straightforward honest. I couldn't always be honest with myself because as a kid, I couldn't always be honest because everybody thought, bro, you taking it too far. And so I would say that to myself, like, you're doing too much. You need to calm down. But my emotions be so illogical, and I really feel like that Gemini energy plays upon me, where like mood swing like a mud. I literally just had a mood swing before I recorded this video, honey. And the universe took care of it for me, because I've learned to create space for it. Like if I don't want to do something, I don't try to force myself out of that emotion, right? That was also another thing, because when things would happen to me, because I would go inward to try to figure it out, it left the people around me confused. And a lot of times people have been conditioned to believe when you're in partnership, what's going on in someone else's reality automatically means something about you, because y'all are always together or y'all are one. And so, in my first major relationship, where I was dating a woman for like 4 years, but I knew her for 10, it was always like, when we would be out in public or things would happen, I would just shut down. And when it came time to conflict resolution, to express how I felt, it would always be like, okay, I'm gonna do better, I'm gonna do better. But that was against the error in someone else's reality. It was always like, I want to do better because I don't want to lose this person, I don't want to fuck up, I'm trying to do this to prove to them that I'm trying, or that I can't do this. But I never gave myself space to come out of the emotion, to explore the emotion, to see what was what. And when I gave myself space to realize, like, oh bitch, you is moody, it became okay. Because when I judged the emotions and the frequency and the who, what, when, where, and how they came, I was not privy to the gift of what they are, which is emotion. Your emotions are informing your experience, because it is you taking in your you're taking in your external stimuli, and your internal reality, i.e. your soul, is deducing information from it. And so when you're connected, when you're in line, when you have harmony, you can take in that emotion and directly connect it to, wisdom, directly from God, directly from source, and That's important. And you know, in your 20s, it be a lot going on. It's really a circus in your 20s. I thought it was going to be a good time, but I was talking with someone and they said they show how much of a good time it is because life is fucking hell in your 20s. So it on the outside looking in, it's like they partying so much because internally it's so bad. So they got to show us all this glitz and glamour. And I really do believe when I turned 30, things got a lot easier. And then here's the T. There's always tools to support where you're at outside of what you know, right? And that's why I'm sharing this, because what you know at the present moment to regulate emotions, there's always something outside of that that can inform what you already know, that can refine what you already know. So don't take in information for the idea of like trying every new craze, trying every new fad, trying everything Cousin Ruji say. No, use it to inform what you already know to be true about you, what you already know to be true about your reality, about your environment, how you want things to go, right? Because you're writing your own story. You're not here to follow someone else's blueprint. And it's people like me who just come in and being like, hey, let's look in the same direction real quick and see what we find together. And I point out stuff and you be like, oh, okay, I didn't even see that like that. And you be like, oh, I'll bet, yeah, that makes sense, right? And so that's what we're doing. We're trying to get ahead of the curve, right, by realizing that we just want to inform what we already know, because we are innately powerful, innately wise, because we are one of God's creations, and God's creations is holy, lovable, and holy loving. You hear me? You hear me? So now that we got the why out the way, let's go ahead and get into what's happening today. So today's ideogram is directly related to one of my original teachings, which is called Elements in Creation, in which I had created an ideogram, which is this triangle that has these inner words, which is knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And I felt like it was that simple equation of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that you could apply to any situation, and it could help you solve anything. Whether that was, what did I want to eat today versus, is this the right career choice, right? You could take it big or small, you know, and everywhere in the medium, because knowledge is the root chakra, what you know to be true, what is true in your physical reality that pertains to your 5 senses. This is our densest, this is our first chakra. This is the one that gets us on earth and tethers us here. This is what we know to be true about ourselves, okay? When we get to wisdom, so knowledge is your root chakra. This is what you know to be true, right? Wisdom is what you feel about that truth, okay? Right? Because we have thought and then we have emotion that goes with that thought. Okay? We have emotion that goes with that thought. Right? And that's where we get wisdom. This is your sacral chakra. Right? This informs how we feel about the things that we know about ourselves, about the things that we know about our environments, about our desires. Right? Then we get to understanding, which is the solar plexus. Right? Now that you know what's what, and you didn't took the time to feel into it, now you want to take action because you have an understanding, right? And so you're taking that knowledge, you're applying it and making it wisdom, and now you create an understanding within yourself. And so you can see how you can use this in every way to solve a problem, because not only does it pertain to your external reality, right, which is knowledge, what you know to be true about yourself, using your 5 senses, and your, like, it pertains to everything with your 5 senses, okay? Wisdom. Now you deduce that and use your brain, what that had meant, right? You feel into it, what that means. And now you have an understanding. Now you got a whole equation. That is the external. The internal is the chakra system, your root chakra. That is all about being grounded, feeling safe, security, being able to take care of yourself. Your sacral chakra is feeling worthy, feeling honored, being able to connect with other people, being able to connect with their creativity based off of what you know to be true. When you start to feel based off what you know to be true, now you can take action. Right? Now you can take action, which is understanding, which is your solar plexus. Right? Again, this is the internal. This is the unseen way that this equation helps you solve all your problems, because it not only looks at the external, it looks at the internal. So the solar plexus is our energy. It's our movement. It's our direct energy source, our direct connection to God, to source. Right? And that's what the solar plexus is about. So that was just a base breakdown of what the elements of creation video is. And there's a part 1 and a part 2 of the elements of creation. So you can really use that to really dive deep into your life. But today I want to look at how we can use that same kind of blueprint to regulate our emotions, right? And so first we have at the very top, we have the emotions, which is knowledge. We have the awareness that something is happening, something is brewing. We are giving a gift. We are given a gift of emotion from God, directly from source. And the reason why we are given emotions is so that we could experience. If we didn't have emotions, we would just kind of be zombies. There wouldn't be no experience. There wouldn't be no consciousness, because essentially that's what emotions are. They are consciousness themselves, okay? They are consciousness themselves, right? And so once we receive the gift of emotions, right, we then come down here to the next step, because that's what I was looking at. Because regulating your emotions is a 3-step process that relates to the first 3 chakras of reality, because you have your first 3 lower chakras, then you have your heart, then you have your upper 3 chakras. This is the threshold. This is the entryway. So you got your your lower chakras that connect you to earth, and then you got your upper 3 chakras that connect you to heaven. They're tethered together through your heart. This is why they say the only way out is in through your heart, because once you go through your heart, you got access up and down the ladder, right? And so regulating emotions is a 3-step process that encompasses the first 3 chakras. If you're aware of the first 3 chakras, then regulating your emotions won't be difficult, because you realize what's going on. The only reason things get out of hand when it comes to regulating your emotions is because you just don't know what's going on. And so when we are afraid, we then invoke other emotions to process that fear inside of our bodies. And so what that looks like is being angry, being frustrated, being timid, being closed off. It just means you don't know what's going on inside of your own body. And so instead of figuring it out, you invoke these scary stories, and you tell yourself these scary stories through your thoughts, right? That you have an emotion, and then you invoke a feeling. They create a feeling, because the gift of the emotion really starts as a thought, essentially, right? It starts as a thought. And when you have that thought and you let that thought sink in, it'd be like, at least for me, it like started from the bottom of me and be like, chugga, 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 chugga. And you could just see the storm cloud brewing until I open my mouth. And then it's just like, oh God, it's just bad. You can feel it, right? You can feel something come over you. You can feel some type of heaviness, where there's sometimes for me it's over my whole body, which is why I'm going like this. Sometimes I can feel pressure up in my head because I'm thinking too much, right? It just depends on what the thought was. Sometimes I just feel real good and warm, but it's generated from right here because I'm moving from my heart. Sometimes I'm moving from fear from my lower half. Sometimes I'm moving from too much light and I got pressure up here because I'm not grounded. You see what I'm saying? And so we have the gift of emotion, which is essentially a thought. We get master downloaded availability thoughts. Our infinite potential comes in wisdom coming straight from the God, okay? And then we then create a feeling around that, right? Once we create a feeling around that, we then create choice, right? And you see the little icon. So essentially what this would look like as an ideogram, I could erase all of these words, even these letters, right? And just have the present, the wave of the water, and a pitchfork for a fork in the road. And I could still break all of this down. This is truly what an ideogram is, right? So we should be able to see these pictures and know that, okay, this is teaching me how to not only solve a problem, but how to regulate my emotions. Because this encompasses the 3 elements of creation, but it also teaches me how to regulate my emotions, right? And so you receive the gift of emotion through thought, and then you turn that into a vibration, a wave of feeling that is then sent out into the world, right? Once that is sent out into the world, that impacts the choices you make. That impacts how you behave, right? So the thoughts you think create the feelings you feel, and the feelings you feel impact the choices that you make, okay? You see what I'm saying? So look, when we look at the first one, which is knowledge, the gift of emotion, be privy to how you feel. Be privy to emotions you feel. Just like I had said when I was a kid and I wasn't allowed the space to see how I feel. As an adult, you need to be making space to explore your emotions, because this is what I say. You don't want your pain to punk you in public. Okay? You do not want your pain to punk you in public. So you better deal with it in private. You better meditate on it. You better journal. You better get to the root cause. You better unpack that. You better do that shadow work, because you don't want to be out in public and be highly reactive, to be easily triggered, to always catching an attitude, to never having stable relationships, always beefing with somebody, never having long-term relationships. You don't want to be that person, because it don't feel good. You know why? Because I've been there, done that. Still in it. Still in it. Still in it. You feel me? Then when we get to wisdom, which is our feeling, okay, be aware that you are not your thoughts. When these thoughts get generated and they create emotions and you start attaching feelings to them, the feelings that you attach to them are based on what you perceive to be true. So if you perceive that when you receive these gifts of emotions that they are truly you, right, and this impacts you, then the emotions that you attach to it are going to be based on that. But if you realize that I'm a spirit having a human experience, and so these thoughts are coming in so that I could generate movement and feel into my experience, then I don't have to create scary feelings around these stories that might come about. I could pick and choose the thoughts that I entertain, and I could pick and choose the feelings that are generated from the thoughts based on the thoughts that I choose. I.e., if I choose positive thoughts, I'll always create positive feelings. But if I'm, not really using the gift of my emotions, the gift of free will, and I just let it run amok, then my feelings gonna be the same way, and I'm gonna believe that to be true about my reality. And so this is the difficulty on this level. You can't believe the thoughts that are being generated, which create feelings, are true unless they are truly the thoughts that you want to be thinking, i.e. creating the feelings that you want to feel, because you have power over this. This is why I'm breaking it down, right? And so the last one, choice. Be decisive in all that you choose. Here's the T. This is why we cause ourselves to be in an uproar, in an emotional uproar. And that is because we have indecision. We have indecision in our life. And the reason why we have indecision, because we always like, should I be doing this? Is this right? Is this going to impact this? Is this going to lead me to poverty, or is this going to lead me to riches and success? Is this lover going to lead me to paradise, or is they going to break my heart? It's all of these what ifs, right? Because we can't simply just be decisive and choose. And that is because we don't realize that when we choose from our heart, when we choose from a grounded and sacred and secure place, we're choosing what God wants for us. And essentially that's where that indecisiveness comes from, because we don't know if this is what God wants. If we don't know if this is the right choice, right? And the thing is, the reason why we don't know that is because we feel separate from God. We have been conditioned to believe that God is outside of us and God is up in the sky. And that's what we be praying to. And we be waiting for life to unfold in that way. And it never does, because that's not true. God lives within us. And as long as we are following what feels good, God is always satisfied with the choices that we make. So we don't have to second guess everything. We can hold true to our faith that we're following what God wants for us, and that when I make this choice, as long as I'm decisive and I'm doing it with love, I don't have to worry that it's not going to work out, because it's what God wants for me. But normally we always fear that the worst is going to happen because we are unsure of our plight in life. We are unsure of our purpose. We are unsure of what God wants for us. And it's very simple. Everybody has the same mission, which is to be loved. How we go about being that love is up to us, i.e. free will. Okay, that's purpose. The only thing that God wants you to do is to be loved. Collect the data of all the stuff that you did in order to be loved, die, and take it back and go get your next assignment, bro. That's it. And this is a simple way to regulate your emotions, to use them to do so, right? Because life is just not all about hustling, breaking generational curses, building this, building that. That's a wonderful part of this experience, but that's just the external, superficial layer of it. The deeper under part of it is that we came down here to learn, right? To better evolve, to better use our energy, right? And the energy that we're supposed to be using is emotions. It's a tool for you to better evolve as a spirit. And because you are a spirit inhabiting that suit, the spirit is not uniquely yours. It's not uniquely chastity spirit. This spirit that's inhabiting this suit was given the name chastity, but I belong to God. I don't belong to me. I don't belong to my mama, my daddy, my sister, my cousin, my brother. I don't belong to those things. I am just here for the experience, for the data, and I'm going back to boss man. You know what I'm saying? I just report on home. Okay? So this is how you regulate your emotions, family. Don't sleep on it. Until next time, I love you. Peace out.